Hey guys, welcome back to Zerby. Today I'm going to show you 3 ways to keep your conversation interesting over Tinder, but remember this will apply to basically everything else, including text and even being in person with someone. Now with that said, it is not an understatement at all to say that this is the most common question that I get at Zerby. Guys ask all the time, how do I keep conversation interesting? It comes up so much, in fact, that instead of just doing one video on this topic, I'm gonna be doing multiple where I cover different areas. So again, we're starting in Tinder, but we'll do texting, we'll do in person, we'll do everything, the whole gamut. But with that said, let's jump into the first topic, which is how to keep conversation interesting over Tinder. Now, I'm going to be giving you 3 strategies. Of course, there are plenty more, and I'm sure I'll do more videos in the future about those other areas, but this will give you something to get started. And also, at the end of the video, I want you to practice this by messaging people on Tinder and intentionally using these 3 strategies to see how they work for you and also to build that reference experience. Now, the primary goal of Tinder is to, well, get her on the date, get her to meet up with you as soon as possible. But what she's doing is making sure that you're the kind of guy that she wants in her life. But here's the thing, you want to be doing the same thing. You want to be making sure that she is the kind of girl that you want to be around, that she has a personality that you click with. Because here's the thing, if you don't do that, and you're just, well, I don't care anything about her personality, I just want her because of her looks, that is okay, but what will most likely happen is you'll come across as desperate or needy because the only thing you want or care about her is her body. And that will come across in your messaging, which is probably not gonna help you in the long run. And worst case scenario, you actually end up meeting in person and you spend an hour together, she can't stand you, you can't stand her, and you waste both of everyone's time gets wasted. So you don't want to be in that situation. And the way that you avoid that is by showing your personality in the conversation so you guys can screen each other out. Of course, what is the way that you actually do that? How do you show your personality? Well, the answer is making conversation interesting. Now, your first tool is role playing, and we're not talking about the sexual kind. We're just talking about making up a little situation that involves either you and her or involves some kind of, role play. So let's take a look at an example that was sent in by one of the viewers, you, in other words. I've been bitten on the leg by a chihuahua with a T-Rex complex. What's the craziest experience that you've had in recent memory? Haha, I don't know if I can top that. We'll be sure to avoid dog parts on our first date, so tell me about how your 5K went. She went running and she mentioned that in her profile, and then the conversation continued from there. So here's where the role play is. We'll be sure to avoid dog parks on our first date. That is a role play. It's a very simple thing, but it makes the conversation so much more interesting. And here's the real power of it. Not only does it make the conversation more interesting, but what it also does is it makes her think about him and her on a date. It's role playing them together on a date, doing something fun, avoiding dog parks because of a chihuahua. So what he's also putting in here is inside jokes, right? When they're together, they can, if they see a chihuahua, there's an inside joke right there, which is really strong bonding. Like if you think about you and your friends, one of the things that bonds you guys most is your inside jokes and your inside lingo. And there's no exception here on Tinder. It's all about getting everyone together, and role play is the way to do that. So again, very simple. He could have just said, tell me how your 5K went. That is not making conversation interesting. But by referencing something earlier in the conversation, and by earlier I just mean one line ago, and making a very small role play scenario, it makes it 10 times as strong. So I really want you guys to think about that. How do you incorporate role playing into your opening messages, into your messages at any point? Here's the thing, even if this conversation had been going on for like 5 minutes and near the end, you can still throw in role play at any moment, at any time, referencing anything, and it will make your conversation way more interesting. Okay, now here's the second tool, puns. I absolutely love puns. They're hilarious to me. In person, they kind of suck and they're kind of awful, but when it comes to text, they're amazing. Here's what it does. It takes an area that has nothing funny or nothing interesting about it, nothing witty, and injects it with personality. And the best part is it's so easy to do, it only takes a second. So let's look at an example where I used a pun in a first message that had that effect. So T for 2 and 2 for T. I had something about T in my profile, which she is referencing here. And I say, looks like we're going to get oolong blank. Ha ha ha, that was too good to be true. So implementing this couldn't be more easy. All you need to do is look at something in our profile, look at something in one of our photos, look at the messages that you're having, pick out any noun, and then just go on Google and Google noun puns. And really that's all there is to it. And the best part is about this, not only does it not take any real time investment, it really is just that easy. And what I love so much about this, especially in your opening message, when you make a pun about something in your profile, it's incredibly easy to do. It makes you stand out from all of the other guys that are just sending messages like, hey, what's up? But also it shows her that you are actually going in her profile and looking at stuff. Our third and last tool that we're gonna be looking at today is making assumptions, and this is huge. You should make assumptions all the time, not just on online dating or text, but also in person. Making assumption is the thing that takes your conversation to that next level and makes it way, 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 way more interesting. Now, what I'm gonna do is break down a simple question, and we'll make it better and better and better by making it more and more of an assumption. So here's how it starts. Question is, are you an art student? Now, right off the bat, that question is really, really boring, right? It doesn't have any real personality. It doesn't really lead the conversation. And what I mean by lead the conversation is her answer is either going to be yes or no. Then the ball is in your court again, and it's gonna be even harder to move it forward. So the conversation should be a conversation. It should be you say a piece, she says a piece, and things move forward. It can be a question, but the problem with this question is it's so yes or no. It's like a questionnaire, it's like an interview, and it really doesn't work. So we're gonna make it a little bit better by making it an assumption. So now our question, which was, are you an art student? We'll say this time, you must be an art student. Now, that's more interesting than are you an art student? Because now instead of a yes or no answer, she's mostly going to say no, but why do you say that? Or yes, but why do you say that? So it leads the conversation forward, and it makes her think that you're actually thinking about her critically. There's something about her that you saw that represented this thing. Again, it makes it just more interesting for everyone involved. Now, we can take this even a step further by telling her up front why we had that thought. So instead of just saying, are you an art student, to you must be an art student, now we're gonna go to the third level, which is even better than the previous two, which is your scarf is so colorful, you must be an art student. So now what we're doing is the conversation has a fork in the road. She can talk about her scarf, which maybe her great-grandmother gave her, and it has a lot of meaning and value to her, and it will get her talking and interested in speaking about that subject that you brought up because you're paying attention to actually her. It just makes, see how like, and then you can go down the art student route. Do you see how just by making an assumption and putting in something specific as to why you're making that assumption, that it makes it more interesting? Now here is the key, and I really want you to consider this. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if the thing you choose has anything to do with the assumption. If she's wearing gray shoes and you say, oh, your shoes are gray, you must be a banker. That doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. It leads the conversation, it's interesting, it's fun, it's better than what's your job, right? But here's the thing, we can even take it, I'm looking at my notes here, we can even take it to that next level by saying this. Your scarf is so colorful, you must be an art student, tell me more about it. So here's the levels, okay? First level, are you an art student? Second level, assumption, you must be an art student. Third level, stating why we think it, your scarf is so colorful, you must be an art student. And the fourth level, which incites curiosity, right? And is really the best way to say this is, your scarf is so colorful, you must be an art student, tell me about it. That demands an investment on her part, right? She can't just say yes or no. She can't just say yes, why do you say that? She can't just say, oh, thanks for noticing the scarf. Yes, I am this. What this is doing, this simple statement of tell me about it, is inviting her into the conversation. Now she can talk about her scarf. Now she can talk about her art career or whatever, or tell you why you're totally wrong, but it's showing that you're making an assumption based on something that you actually see about it, see about her, and you're inviting her into the conversation. And altogether, that is a really powerful way to make conversation really interesting. So let's look at the worst and the best, okay? You must be an art student. Your scarf is so colorful. Tell me more about it. The worst, are you an art student? You see how big of a difference that is? We'll take another example. What is your job? Okay, the example that we kind of said before, oh, you have gray shoes, therefore you must be an architect. Tell me more about that. Much better, right? We can take it to the next level, okay? What TV shows do you like to watch? The way you look, I can tell that you're a huge fan of Always Sunny in Philadelphia because you have this bright smile that reminds me of Dee. So again, it just makes it way more interesting to be specific about things. And literally right now, I can sit here and spit out infinite numbers of assumptions with a reason why, because it doesn't matter what they are. They can have no relationship to each other at all, and it still makes the conversation way more interesting. So again, think about that. And one more thing that I want to cover before we end the video, and this is important, is there's an idea that if you're in a conversation and she's talking about something boring or you're talking about something boring, that you're kind of stuck, right? You feel like, well, where do I go from here? She's asking me about this question, or I'm asking her this, and it's really not interesting, and I want to move the conversation into a different direction. Just do it. You don't need a reason. You don't need an excuse. Just literally change the topic. You never need a reason why. All right, guys, that's the end of this topic. But before we officially end, I want to invite you guys into our group. We have a private, exclusive group on Facebook where we share tips, tricks, where we all help each other out, and we all talk about this topic and many more, and you can get direct feedback from the staff here at Zerby. I'd love to invite you into the group. You can click below in the description to join it, and I'll see you on the inside. And plus, if you go through and do these challenges where you go onto Tinder and intentionally try one of each of these on 3 different matches, go and post your results in there and we'll give feedback. I really want to see how you take the information from this video and apply it, because if you're not applying it, then why are you watching? It doesn't make sense. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next week. And if you have any questions, go into that group right now so you don't forget, so you don't click away and then, time goes by. Go in right now, introduce yourself, and I'll see you there.